What's good, everyone? I hope you've had a great weekend, and I hope you're having a great start to your week. I always forget that I have that on. Um, but yeah, so as you can kind of see, we've had a large gap from the past week. So we're gonna kind of see where we're gonna get that today. You know that we have NFP this week on Friday, so the days we're looking to trade will be a little bit earlier on. So again, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and then we're looking to take a trade if we need to on Friday after NFP. So just kind of looking at this right now, again, we always start on the higher time frame and kind of want to work our way down to what we could be looking for in terms of a setup, but then also where will that setup most likely form. So on the weekly chart, we're inside of this weekly volume imbalance. As you see, the bodies are kind of sitting there. Honestly, was not expecting this type of gap, and not necessarily say I like that. It kind of moved, but we're kind of in a consolidation. We do have news at 10 o'clock, 10 a.m. So I will most likely be, not I most likely, I will be waiting till after 10 o'clock to see if this can kind of flesh itself out right now. I am leaning a little bit higher just to kind of come up inside of this. But again, we just have to kind of look and see what is the market respecting at the time, and we'll get into that. But again, we're in the daily portion of this inverse fair value gap. We're in the upper portion. There's an hourly, let's zoom in, hourly fair value gap right here that looks to be, as of right now, offering some support. So we'll see if we can kind of push up into this. Now I do want to extend this over a little bit so I can see that as well. That's the daily volume imbalance. But that's essentially what I'm looking for, but we'll see. I'm going to wait till after 10 o'clock just to see what we could potentially get from there. Now we go to SMT. This is also what I like to look at. Notice how we've had, we have SMT here, but also down here at the lows. So again, not as clear as I would like of a day to be, where it looks very, very clear, one-sided. Even though I believe it may potentially want to trade higher, but we do have to kind of see what we're going to be getting here at the market open. We know that we have a discount gap, so it could potentially want to trade up higher in the first 30 minutes, but we will not be able to take anything until around 10 o'clock because I just want it to be a little bit more clear. And if we miss a trade, then we missed the trade. But we're going to kind of flesh some things out a little bit more. So again, here is the current new week opening gap. So I want to get the consequent encroachment of that level as well. I do have it on another screen, but I want to see it on this screen as well to kind of see where we are. It gives me an easier time kind of looking at this than trying to look at the other chart where I can kind of see it on this one. But yeah, that's pretty much what we're looking for today, and we'll see what we get here. But again, I'm looking that at potentially we could be wanting to trade a little bit higher. And then if we look on the 15-minute chart, it's pretty much the same for value gap, but look how the bodies stay above this gap. So I am liking that as of right now. And so I'm trying something different. I'm trying to find my way in terms of what I will be doing in terms of how much risk I'm willing to put on in accounts. So in like funded accounts. So I'm gonna be trying Top Step at some point this year, the 150K account if you're interested in that, but or interested in knowing what size of account I'll be looking to trade. So I have a little bit more, then I'll be using a little bit more than one, but again, the process still stays the same. Normally I think I'm trying to go for 8 because I think they allow 8, they allow 15, so I'll go for 8. But because of today and kind of what it looks like to me, my max right now is 4, and so if I lose this trade, then it would cut down to 2. So I'll be using pretty much even numbers because it'll be easier for me to cut it into 2, and that's pretty much how I'll do my trading from now on. And again, it still stays the same, 50 handles, and then yeah, have a setup, frame it. The framework still all stays the same, so it's pretty much what we'll be looking for. Sorry about that. It's my water bottle. But what I'm also seeing here a little bit, now we had this 5-minute imbalance here, and notice how the bodies are respecting that. The wicks do the damage, but right now, notice where the bodies are closing in this upper portion. So as of right now, as I'm looking at this, potentially we may see some higher price action, but again, I'm waiting till 10 o'clock. So that's those are all the levels that we're looking for. Oh, I didn't even see we had a 15-minute gap as well. So we have the 15-minute gap. That's there. Look at where the bodies are closing as well in the upper portion. This also is in agreement, so I believe that we could potentially draw up here. Now again, if I was in a trade and just looking at what it's doing right now, so let's say that I had an idea and it was going to go, okay, so that offer is enough. So we have a breaker here with this gap on the top end of a 15-minute fair value gap, also with this order block on the 5-minute chart. So this fair value gap I would expect to be held in the trade up to there, and see if we can reach up into the new week opening gap that we have, the current one. This would be a setup if it was the time, if everything was right. This to me would be a potential setup because of what we're seeing here. This order block is in the upper portion. It's a wick. So I would expect us to, once we're in here, start to trade up to there and then see if we can get up to there, because again, all I need is 50 handles, which would be literally right there. And so that's what I'd be looking for. We have a clear high here with consolidation here. We have another high up there. And so that would be a framework of a trade if I was looking to take this trade, if it was the right time. But essentially that's how I look at it. Also, we're inside the Monday, January 27th, first presented fair value gap, also in the upper portion of that as well. So I'd expect us to maybe see if we can draw up in here. But again, also that goes along with the new day opening gap, or I meant the opening range gap, which we are in a massive discount. So kind of expect to see that. That's what I would expect to see us draw up into here. But again, we have Dow trading lower. Now, not really a great opening because we're not seeing the symmetry between all of them. But it doesn't mean that it can't play out. But that's just what I'm kind of seeing right now, where I think that we could draw up to here. And we've just fell short of it as well. This is the stronger one over ES. ES looks a little bit weak, but it does, as of right now, look like it's holding its 15-minute fair value gap. This same one, it's a little bit deeper inside. But now we've officially inversed this fair value gap. And then now this is the new 15-minute candle. It came back down and touched it. And then we would expect it to start to trade a little bit higher. Yeah, that's the plan for today. Again, looking at potential higher prices, but we just kind of got to be patient. I'm just gonna put this line on here, also to remind myself that nothing for me can occur until after we pass 10 o'clock. So again, for me, it's more of we would call it I guess the ICT silver bullet framework where like you're looking for a trade after 10 o'clock. So that's the framework that I have right now going into today, because I don't really like where it is. I don't really like kind of what's happening right now. We are in this lower portion of this. You know, we did come down and hit this wick. I'm pretty sure we hit consequent encroachment, which is pretty much where the bodies stop, which is very interesting. So I think I'll note that. I think that that's no, I did that wrong. I think that that's a key area that we could potentially see a reaction from, which we kind of already have gotten. So I just want to make sure this is in my charts, so I have it for future reference. Yeah, notice where the bodies start and the bodies stop. We can't even close. I guess I gotta go past this way. We can't even close below, so that gives me an indication that we could potentially be looking for upside. Again, we have this fair value gap in this upper portion, and maybe we're looking to draw up a little bit higher. That should not be that color. This should just say buy side. Yep, so that's buy side. So I think, again, this is where the draw is. This is not my setup because it's not the time to be taking this for me. If it was the time, this is what I would be in, and I'd be targeting for this, just the low end. And I don't even think it doesn't need to even reach there. It needs to reach there, and the amount of drawdown we would have had up until this point is 8.25. Again, that's really nothing. Stop loss would have to be below here, below this candle. So that'd be a what? 29-ish point stop. And also I like how we do have two, like if we go to a 2-minute chart, it probably looks a little bit cleaner. So on a 2-minute chart, there's no fair value gap there. So we'd have to use the 1-minute chart. But notice how the bodies right now are kind of being stuck and held in this upper portion. That's very important. And then just now we have just this wick in the lower portion. So that's what I'm looking at right now. I'm trying to see if I can identify key signatures that either support what I'm thinking, or if they're not supporting what I'm thinking, how can I get myself on the right side? Again, we have Dow doing what it wants. This is kind of, looks a lot weaker. The bodies are kind of showing a different story than ES. So, but I do believe that we could potentially want to draw higher up into this gap. But once we hit this gap and go into it, that I'm not as sure of. But yeah, we'll see. Just leave this on. Well, that's why we don't thought of a stop hit. Interval only in below, just so we have that. Again, right now I'm going to be a little bit more cautious because of Again, this large opening gap, the way that the market structure looks visually to me, obviously you can see this is a consolidation. So yeah, we have news at 10 o'clock, so I'm just gonna wait till after that. Again, here also watching the bodies. We have 4 minutes until the market opens, but again, I'm watching the bodies of the 1 minute chart on the higher time frame array. Like, are we respecting it on the lower time frame as well? Or are we disrespecting it too? Where are we laying bodies? Because we would expect this, if we're bullish, this 15-minute gap should hold price. We've traded down into here. We've had a response. This is an order block as well, which we are very, very deep in. But if it's going to go higher, that's what we would be expecting. We have 2 minutes until the market opens, and look where ES is. So have to be wary of that. Dow looks like it's kind of showing a little bit of some strength and response off that order block, but we'll see what we get here in a couple minutes. Again, if it's truly bullish or having some strength, that this candle at 925 should not be able to hold it. It should run right through it. It should turn into an inverse fair value gap if it's bullish. It should not remain heavy. Nice initial reaction there, especially with a 15-minute close soon. That's a very nice reaction. You have 1 minute, so if we can close back above that, that's a really nice close for a kind of a stop run. Now I would see that as a stop run, and now this may offer a breaker setup here. If we can create a gap here, kind of come fall and come short, then attack that. That's a nice setup because you have buy side there. Then you also have buy side sitting right there as well. So yeah, very, very nice close. Again, ES is now kind of catching up as well. Dow's kind of moving higher too, so we might get to draw up into here, this new week opening gap. Okay, so we have 930. This opening gap, range gap, is a clear discount, as you can see. The 5-minute chart, but that's fine. This is where we have it at 23. That's right there. I know this looks very, very busy. but to me it's not. So I understand where everything is. Yes, we're watching this. Can we hold that level? Or are we just gonna run right through it? Because Dow is now trading a little bit higher. I don't know why I did that, because I didn't hit it yet. I'm not sure why I did that. If anyone could let me know why it does that, just let me know in the comments section of this video or in the live, because I'm not sure why it does that. Yeah, I don't know. Not sure. But again, we're looking for higher prices. I'm looking to draw up a little bit higher. Yeah, sorry about that. I don't know why this is doing that. I'm not sure why. But again, we have news at 10, so expecting us to trade higher. Kind of follow in suit with the rest of them. Yes, you see us kind of trading higher. This is a little bit lagging, but I believe that we're reached higher. Dow's now moving higher. So that would be my, that's what I would want to see. And we may just run straight for it. Just looking to see when the first presented fair value gap is going to form. Because again, that's like a real key part of my strategy, is looking at when does it form. It looks like it's going to form at 9:31. So we've hit up there. What I would like to honestly see is it do this and then come back down here. Oh, it didn't. So it's just running higher. So yeah, the first presented fair value gap looks like it's going to be formed at 9:31, which is, you know, a nice time element for me, that what I like to see. That means it's earlier on. I can expect, well, as long as this doesn't just overlap it, I can expect, I would say, low resistance conditions. That's kind of like how I look at it, based off the time element. Yep, so there's the first presented fair value gap. Again, this would be a breaker. And remember, we were looking for a price to draw up into the new week opening. Yeah, look at Dow. Look at NQ. I'm going to look at ES. And then look at NQ. So, again, this is kind of why I didn't really want to get into it beforehand. Okay, now we're trading down into the first presented fair value gap. Do we get bullishness, and do we trade up into all the way up here? That's what I would prefer. Look where it stopped as well. So that's what I'd be looking for. But again, I'm giving you my reasoning why I'm not taking a trade now. But that's kind of what I would like to see us trade up into here. I'm expecting choppier conditions. Look at the bodies though. Look how the bodies respect the first presented fair value gap. But I'm expecting choppier condition because of what the market structure looks like, but also that we have news at 10 a.m. So I'm expecting this type of back and forth and overlapping, and nothing being respected. But then after 10 o'clock, I think we should see some better price action. If we don't, then there's nothing for me to do today. There's always tomorrow, there's always another day, or if this week doesn't end up offering anything, then it doesn't offer anything. Again, we're watching the bodies. The wicks do the damage. Watch the bodies. Notice where the body closed. Notice where the body's staying in. That's what we're watching. The wicks do the damage. The wicks tell lies. So I'm watching where the real price action is being delivered, which is in the bodies. That's why you don't try to have a super tight stop loss and all that stuff. It allows you just get wick sawed out. So again, this was the breaker I was telling you about, and then I wanted to see a fair value gap. But for me, I'm explaining to you why I'm not buying this, even though I believe it can go higher, even though I believe that that's where it's going to draw. Clear level of buy side liquidity here, and then this is a massive draw. Massive. So I'll just be patient and I'll just wait for 10 o'clock. Again, what we want to see in a trade, we wouldn't necessarily want to see this draw back down in, but we want to see this up close candle here, support price, and trade higher. That's what we would want to see in this trade. We wouldn't want to see this candle give up its range at all. Could see that as immediate rebalance as well, and then into this order block, we would want to see kind of start to see some movement away. The next candle, we'd want to see a large range candle going up higher, or if it happens in the same candle, even better. See, that's a nice close. I would expect the next candle to be pretty large and attack this and just run. That's what I would expect. We want to see expansion here. Again, you see on the 5-minute chart, we're at this high right there. On the 5-minute chart, we came down into these two down close candles, the order blocks. But again, this is why I'm waiting. It's overlapping. I'm not even seeing really clean price action. Came back down into the order block, which it's able to do that, but that's not what I would want to see in my trade. That's not what I expect. If we're in, again, low resistance conditions, it should have already ran up there with speed. Shouldn't be trading down into the order block multiple times. So we can kind of change this to gray. Just change the color because it has been hit. Again, wouldn't want to expect this or see this, but notice the bodies are even closing up near the high. They're not able to close inside of this order block. Let's note that because we've been talking about it the whole time. Notice that. Where are we closing? Notice how we're not able to see that. Intervals. There we go. So that's a framework, that's a trade setup, but just not for me. If everything else was, I'm just gonna take a picture of that because I was able to walk through that. But what I'm trying to say is, given the climate, given the scenario, that's why I did not take this trade. I didn't believe, I'm just going to wait till after 10. This is a lot of choppy back and forth price action, and this may be the move, and I may not ever get a move. Not ever get a move, but the move for me may not be there after 10 o'clock, but that's fine. You know, where the trade would need to go to from here, that's already enough, would have been literally to the buy side, essentially just there pretty much. So this here, the up there with 8.5, I think what it was. No, 16.75 handles of drawdown, just fine, but it would have been there to there, and that would have been the entire trade. But again, looking for bullishness. We'll see if we can kind of get up inside of this and start closing some of this in. See what we leave here. But again, after 10 o'clock is when I'm looking to do something. I believe we have SMT with ES. That's nowhere near its gap, but no, we do not. They all did the same thing there. But at least with this, the gap, we do have SMT there. Just calm and patient. Patiently waiting for our setup to occur. Just going to hide this. This is important. But that's the framework that I trade with. That's what all my trades look like. That's how I frame and understand and know where and what I'm looking for. That's the framework for me. That's what it looks like. We have immediate rebalance, which is nice, which overlaps with this order block down close candle at this high with the fair value gap, at least with a nice initial response there. This immediate rebalance kind of is, there's a lot of balancing going on there and overlapping of PD arrays. So I would expect it to, again, tack up here. Don't want to see the up close candle be held like the current look like it is. Don't want to see this. Just want to see this offer zero resistance and start to attack where the money's at. Where the money at? And again, if you don't know where the liquidity is, you, my friend, are the liquidity. If you don't know where it is, it's you. So again, we're watching the bodies. Where are the bodies closing? What are the bodies telling me? Here's the new week opening gap that we just hit. The bodies are right there, but I'm still seeing a little bit more of a bullish support based off of this fair value gap at the high, and I believe that we can trade a little bit deeper inside of it. So that's my expectation of here. So we should attack this high, and let's see if we can kind of get up into here. Now obviously I wouldn't want all that to happen before 10 o'clock, but if it happens that way, that's just the way that it happens. Because on the 5-minute chart, we do not have a fair value gap with, and what I would be using would be this. I would see all these candles as a breaker if we had a fair value gap there. The thing is, it did immediate rebalance there. So there's really nothing there for us right now to trade or to do. There was one time I was doing I do like testing, like my setup and stuff, where like this is the 1-minute chart, this is the 30-second chart, and this may be like the 15-second chart. I think I was trading some type of crypto because it was moving. So I put my limit order down here or something. I put my limit order out the way so then when it's time to go, like I can move it up. Literally, like I put my limit order and I moved it like a little bit closer, and then it just it just ripped all the way down there, and I'm like, well, I gotta find a different way to do it, you know, because sometimes it needs to wait on the candle closure, and then I don't want it to like put my limit order and have it set there and then it just doesn't close. I don't want it to, so I'm trying to figure out how to do that as well. I don't know if I'm going to like have the order ready like this. If I do like trade and I do create new order, I don't know if I want to do a limit order and kind of do it like this, which I think would be a little bit better. And if I put like my TP up there and I put my like stop loss down here, do I just hit when it counts down, hit buy? Maybe I'll try that today, but I'm just trying to figure out my process, you know, because I did have that experience. I would not want to have that experience again. So again, we did have news at 9:45, I believe, but nothing to be worried about or anything. But the ISM manufacturing PMI, that's what I'm waiting for. I want all this to get out of the system, run and do what it needs to do, and then I will engage if they set up forums or anything like that. But yeah, we're back into the first presented fair value gap. Again, for me, nothing is necessarily overlapping right now for a short, even though we traded up into that. I'd want to see the 15-minute, the 5-minute kind of be in agreement and have a very, very clear and defined level. And then that to me makes more sense to take trades and to do certain things. But when I don't see that, there's nothing for me to do. Even though a framework may occur or something, I'm less likely and will not take that trade. It's just all about having a system and then just following the rules. If you can't do that, I'm telling you, I don't care how much information you know, you're not going to be profitable. You're not going to make it to the level that you think, or the level that you want to reach, because you just can't follow simple rules. And I know that because that was me. I couldn't follow simple rules in this, and it would never work out. Go on tilt, and you know how that works. That definitely doesn't need to be explained to people who are in this field. Now, what I am kind of liking is these two down close candles. Can we actually hold those? Are they able to support price? I know now we're like very, very deep in this order block. Very, very deep. But if I'm still looking for upside price action, and maybe we can do some of that and kind of come back up here. Maybe this turns into the breaker up inside of this wick. But then again, we'd have to see what's aligning. But I'm watching to see, do we have, like, we're just going to run through this? Are we going to see any type of support? Because we have 12 minutes until the 10 o'clock hour. So that's all I'm looking for, because if we close below this, that's a deeper sign for me. We have this 15-minute fair value gap. If we can close below that, potentially turn into an inverse gap, and then can look for this sell side down here. But again, I want to see us draw up higher. And I just want to make sure we have, plenty room if that were to occur. Plenty room. Again, I'm not in a rush to take a trade like I used to. It's about consistency over time. That's what brings longevity, not one trade that does well or doesn't. That doesn't have any real meaning on your ability to trade profitably for a long time. Like, it's crazy to me. This I looked at my stats from January. It was 66.7% accurate, and realistically, 2 of those trades should have never been taken. But they were, and that's fine. Just move on and learn from them. But the fact that I was up like 13% and I only took 6 trades and 4 wins and 2 losses, and that to me is crazy. Like, that would 10% or 5% used to be like 5% even used to be very, very hard for me to do, and even 10. And I was able to do that with doing very little and only going for 50 handles. I didn't go for anything more than that. When I say 50, but it's 50 to 52. That's all I did. Didn't do anything more than that, and it worked out for me. So keeping that model going forward, and yeah, we'll see where that leads me. Again, would you guys want to be in this right now in this market? Maybe. I don't. Even though we're able to see something, just for me, it's not it for me. Looking kind of heavy because we got 8 minutes left. Again, I'm looking where we're closing inside of these two down close candles on the 15-minute chart. We closed above it. Are we going to see any response from it moving away? Because right now we're not. We also traded back into this fair value gap. So we expect to see bullishness. That's what I would expect to see. But we're not necessarily seeing that right now. Okay, there we're starting to see a little bit of movement. But again, this gap, including with this volume balance, just it needs to get ran through. You can't be respecting that, because then that puts these at jeopardy. That's very clean. Maybe even this, but these look just too clean. This low right here, this low and that low look way too clean. So we'll see what we get. Patience. Also know that we're inside the 950 to 1010 macro, so we expect price to start spooling in a direction. We are starting to look a little bit heavy. But again, we got 6 minutes until the news comes out, which I like how it kind of overlaps with the timing of like the 15-minute chart, and it kind of it'll let me know a little bit more information. Believe that those were hit. Yep, that low was just hit now at 953. So are we able to hold that, or do we reject it? That's what I'm looking at right now. Yeah, that was hit. But also, yeah, are we able to hold this low, or do we completely collapse and kind of fold over? I mean, if I'm being honest, this looks very trend line-ish. But we'll see what we get here. We have enough support, or what I mean support as in enough things overlapping where I feel confident in to take the trade. We do have a new week opening gap from January 12th below us. So I think that was like 2 weeks ago. Maybe it was 3 weeks, I don't know. But if that is the case, then that's what we're looking for. But I would much rather see us come and drop into here. That's what I would like to see. And then obviously within the first 30 minutes, we obviously did not trade up to consequent encroachment of, or the middle of the gap for today. So, yeah. I just want to show this. Fair to even reach the gap, that reached the gap. Where we are now, where Dow is kind of heavy. This looks heavy. They all kind of look heavy now, but I'm interested to see like how are we reacting to those two down close candles. This one obviously similar, but it's just way below. Okay, so this is a nice reaction. Look at the bodies. Look where the 5-minute bodies are closing. I do see this. Hold up. I do see this gap on the 5-minute chart, which is right there. Just so we have that. I need to do something else where I can kind of see different color. Let's try red. So we do have an M5 bearish fair value gap. But again, I'm thinking that we're, again, going to be looking to trade a little bit higher. I like where the bodies closed, where they stopped. I believe we should run through this. Yeah, so we'll see. Again, in about a couple minutes, or at this point it'll be 1 minute, we should have the news release and kind of give us a little bit more information. But again, also if we can, close above this gap. I'll make this a little bit lighter. I don't like how dark it is. And close above that gap. That would give us a little bit of a better understanding if that's what we're going to be doing. If we close below, then obviously we close below. I would expect this candle here to hold price if we're bullish. Again, I'm looking at the 15-minute chart. What were we able to do? Again, let's look at the bodies. The middle of it is right here. I'm sorry if we use the bodies. The middle is right where we currently are right now. So I would expect this candle specifically at 9.57 to hold price and to shoot us up higher. So it's almost 10 o'clock. So I'm going to take this off. And we'll see what we get here in about 7 seconds. Okay. And we gotta let it do what it's gonna do. It ran out, it ran lower. So if it does in fact go lower, then again, that gives us an inkling that we're just off sides, and that's fine. But again, I'm looking for higher prices. Maybe this was, that wasn't the short for me, but maybe that could have been a shorter opportunity to come down and then, this trend line here I was talking about. But I still believe that we're going to be looking for higher prices, but we'll see kind of how it plays out and what we're getting. Because I have no rush in getting the trade right at 10 o'clock. Doesn't mean I'm just going to take a trade randomly. It needs to make sense for me to get into the trade. Because if we do anything and we start attacking, up here, again, look where the body's closed inside of this gap too. I like that. Also in the upper portion. So definitely we can create a fair value gap above this specific high. I would like that and be willing to take it. Yeah, wouldn't even need to get up above this high, but that's what I'd be looking for. But it needs to show that. It needs to show that it's willing to do that, and it can. Again, I could be off size. This could just melt and continuously go lower and lower and lower. Again, with all of this stuff down there, I'm just kind of weighing the options, kind of seeing what we did here. What am I getting on this time frame? Am I getting price moving away once it hits the low? Does it keep coming back up? What am I actually getting? So we do have SMT now here. Where'd it go? So I guess we'll use this low and then that low. And obviously we have not real SMT up there, but right now it's not, it hasn't taken that out, which doesn't mean it can't do that. I'm just watching. So now we've taken it out, so there's no SMT to the upside. We're back inside the 1 minute or the 1 hour. Well, I guess this is a 15-minute as well. Back inside the 15-minute fair value gap there. So there's no SMT. To the upside, there really is no SMT. We just have the SMT at the bottom. That's about the only thing that we have for us right there. So we ran down into the 15-minute. We have a small gap right there. Very, very small gap right there. So, but we'll see what we get here. I'm not sure, honestly, about this gap yet. I know where this is forming. I know I saw this. I know we ran up into that. I'm not necessarily sure about this gap. I believe that it could be used and then end up looking to take a short lower, but I kind of want to see on the 5-minute chart kind of where it's closing. I just don't like how the body is as of right now, kind of respecting that. But we have 1 minute left, so I'm gonna like to not take that yet and just wait to see, because it would need to go down to there, which it might do. But just where the bodies are, I would have liked to, if I trusted it more, I would have taken that one. I just don't know if I trust that yet. Man, just where we close on the upside, like, of this, yeah, I just didn't really trust that one. I mean, we do have the breaker, high, low, higher, high, but this gap, I wasn't really, I didn't trust that one. You know, we have this down close or this up close candle on the 5-minute chart. Now for me, it's easier if things kind of overlap. There is a volume imbalance there, but I'm just not sure if yeah, for me, I just need a little bit more information. I'm not trying to guess. I want to be confident in the trade that I'm taking. I want it to be so clear that I don't have to, like, this one trader, I think his name is Justin something. I don't know his last name. But he talks about playing Pictionary. And imagine you're trying to, like, you only have one guess. Well, I'm trying to have one guess, and I only get one guess, and that's one shot at the trade setup. So I don't want to guess in my trade. I want it to be just very, very clear for me to see, and that's how I operate. This one isn't as clear for me to see to the downside, if I'm being honest, and it may go lower. But just for me and like looking at this, I mean, yes, the bodies were held in this gap. It came up to a volume imbalance, which is literally at the opening, pretty much at the opening of this down close candle. We did close below it. But for me, this hourly gap for me has, just something there. But again, this trade could be flawless and just dump. Because this to me is more significant if we can get below this low aggressively, create a gap, then I would look for this clean levels down there to get hit. That's what I would need to see, and then I would take a short. Like, needs to be clear, so obvious, and as you can see, this is high resistant, so that's why I'm not using my normal. What I think could be my normal is 8. I'm not using that. I'm using 4. Kind of cutting it in half. And that's how I'm visualizing how I will, how I trade. When the market conditions aren't, for me, I guess you say favorable, that's something that I'm willing to risk. Like, none of the shorts for me have been very, very obvious yet. But it doesn't mean that that can't happen soon. For me, something that's obvious is like a 1 minute fair value gap overlapping with a 5 minute down order block. That to me is obvious. A little small imbalance with this opening price and all this overlapping, that's not very clear to me. Trust me, I almost wanted to take this trade, but I'm like, it's not clear enough. I don't have enough information yet actually to be able to make that trade confidently. I didn't think I had that much information, or I could feel myself doing that. Now I'd love for us to close above this candle here, and it'd be a 5 minute order block, but technically it didn't close above there. Not even technically, it didn't close above there. So still need to see some movement away. I do like that the bodies again we're respecting here. We have this fair value gap there. Any respect of it. But I'm gonna wait to put this 5 minute order block on because I want to see. I don't want to like place it there and kind of almost give myself a bias. I'd rather show what it wants to do and then from there kind of move from there. See, to me, I actually would kind of like this aspect if it can do that, because like we have the 15-minute closes in 5 minutes. That'd be the inverse fair value gap, and then we have a 5-minute propulsion block. That's what I like. That to me is a little bit better of an idea, especially if we can close below this hourly one. I would like that idea a lot better, to take a short and then attack. I mean, 50 handles, but all of that down there. If it can give it to me, that's kind of like what I'd be looking for, and it's a breaker. So I feel more confident doing that based off of the response. But again, I need to see specific signatures. Like, I'm not just going to take a trade just to take a trade. Like, I need to see things that I like to see that overlap and that make sense for me. That makes sense for me to take a trade. 2 minutes. Again, Dow's trading a little bit higher. Right now, it looks like that it may want to go lower, but we have to see. And so it is a little bit of a, high resistance. So, I mean, I would have liked it more if it created a gap here. But this is we have 2 minutes left until the 5-minute candle close. So that's why this specific gap, like, I just would like it to be a little bit more exciting in terms of like below that low. Because it's going below and coming back up. Like, it's not like expanding and going away and showing, bullish price action or bearish price action, where it's like going below the low, making very, very clear fair value gaps. But you could come up in here and then do it after, and then I would expect this to be a breakaway gap, and I would trust putting my stop loss a little bit up. Maybe I still have to put up a little bit higher because it is high resistance. I got to remember that. Again, this is I would say, pretty hard day to read. It's not a very clean day, or the cleanest day, but it is there. Not the cleanest day. Yeah, 45 seconds. Okay, so I just want to make sure this is on that candle. So now we have that there, so that's pretty nice. Wait, where did this go? Oh, got messed up. Okay, so we do have that, but we do have a little bit of a mixed opening with Dow, and we'll see what we get here around 10:15. So now we've closed below that pretty convincingly. Yeah, we've closed below this inverse fair value gap, closed below the hourly as well. So I'm watching to see, do we create a fair value gap here? I would like to see if we can kind of trade up back up into here. Maybe we trade up into this. I don't necessarily like where everything is, but it is a potential framework for me. So We can trade up into this opening price. I will put on 4 contracts. My stop loss has to go above here. And then I'm looking for pretty much 80. No, it shouldn't be that much. I'll be looking for, oh, it's too much. 52 handles. Right there, pretty much. So that would be my trade setup, unless like on a low resistance day, I would take this trade specifically. And why I would take that trade specifically is because I would expect this to be a breakaway gap. Put my stop loss right there. But because of the market conditions, I'm not gonna take that trade. I believe we could trade a little bit deeper, but yeah. I'd like to see if we can reach that propulsion block, the opening price, but again, we may not do that. I just don't believe in this being a breakaway gap, but you know, as I stated, that for me would be significant. We do have this low there, so it kind of overlaps with that, but I would personally like to see it come up a little bit more and then, you know, go down. Also, we take this range from there to here. It's in a premium, so that's what I like to see. And we have what, 2 minutes left, so yeah, I'm pretty much seeing all this liquidity down there and like this trend line and stuff, but we may not get it. That may just be the run and it ends up being a breakaway gap and it goes lower. I mean, from here, 50 handles would be about 52 there, but again, I don't believe that's a breakaway gap just from the what we're seeing in price. I mean, now we do have a minute until, and we may not even trade back up here. I mean, because we have a 5-minute fair value gap there, and you know, for me, it doesn't really kind of overlap with anything of importance for me. So that's just personally why I would like to see a trade a little bit higher. But again, I didn't trust this as a breakaway gap. So that's why I was not willing to take that one right there. I just want to note this out. And note that if we just, you know, kind of just start dumping, then I'm not going to chase it. There'll be trades tomorrow. I'd rather do that than to try to chase this going down. So now we have a fair value gap on the 5-minute chart. Let's note that out. So that's the fair value gap on the 5-minute chart. That's what we'll be looking for. It does look heavy, so I don't know if it'll actually be able to reach up there. But we'll see. It's not a missed opportunity. It's just This is kind of what we're getting right now. It's a little bit high resistance, so that's why I'm not looking at specifically this one, even though that's the one I'd be more likely to take. But I didn't like how I don't trust this as a breakaway gap right now. So that's why I'd be taking on too much risk in terms of my stop loss, and so to me that doesn't make any sense to put on a trade where that's the case, where I'd be pretty much risking the same amount that I'm trying to get. That doesn't make any sense to me. So I'd like to see if we can kind of hit the opening price of that propulsion block and then see if we can trade lower from there. That's what I would like to see. Could be completely wrong, but yeah, I'm just in the trade. I think that was a quick one. Yep, so I got stopped out there. So that was the trade setup. I wanted to see pretty much price be held below this propulsion block. We pretty much ran straight up, and it looks like that we might get some bullish price action, or I could have just got stopped out and just trade up to the first presented fair value gap, which is fine. That happens in trades. It is what it is. I'm pretty much gonna look tomorrow to look for my same process, my same setup, and kind of go from there. Again, like I kind of told you, trading down here, I didn't necessarily trust that at all. It just kind of came back and shot back up inside of the range, and that's just kind of what happened today. So I'll be on, actually no, I want to finish till 10:30. Let's see what we get. Finish till 10:30. What's very interesting to me now is take this off, was I expecting this? To be honest, no, not at all. But what is interesting to me is this down close candle here, specifically this fair value gap, and it looks like it looks like we just randomly took off to me, unless something has happened. I'm not expecting that at all, that type of movement. But earlier today we were looking for higher prices, but just from what I was seeing down here, that's what I thought we were gonna get. Then now this fair value gap to me is important, right there. This one, like to see that one be used and see if we can trade higher based off kind of like what we're getting now. Again, that's a crazy candle right now, like 20 minutes after, it then runs through all of it and then ends up trading a little bit higher, but it is what it is. So I'll be looking to trade tomorrow, and I hope that you guys were able to get something insightful from anything that I may have said. I appreciate everyone who was or is on the stream, and I'll catch you guys tomorrow. But I'm gonna finish watching this until pretty much 10:30 or so. That's when I'll look to take a trade. Look to end the stream. But yeah, so this is kind of what we were looking for. We wanted to see this a little bit earlier, but pretty much what I was seeing, and even if I was still waiting for this, there's literally no trade for me. It's just running. So nothing there right now. The only thing I do see is if it trades back into it in the next like 30 seconds is here. That's the only thing I do see off of this candle, if it can even create this fair value gap. And then we'd be looking for it to trade up into that if it can create that. So that's what I'm looking for right now. Lord knows I want to press the button, but I'm not going to. I'm gonna let this one sit, and we'll just kind of watch and see what I'd be looking for. Stop loss would be down here, and I would look for 50 handles to up and trade up into that. So the trade would be here to there. I mean, it wouldn't be necessarily, yeah, and I'd probably put it above here, to be honest. So it'd be buying there, looking to get out 50 handles there. So let's put the trade in. Again, see, it's not necessarily as ideal because of where my stop loss placement has to be. Like, it's pretty long, but this would be the trade setup, because I mean, I go for 50 handles, but again, this is longer, this is larger than 50 handles, so it doesn't really necessarily make sense. So I'd have to go for, like, you know, reaching up to there pretty much. But just want to show you that would be the trade setup, you know, looking for the 50 handles. But yeah, gonna let this one just play out, and we'll pretty much be done, either if it hits it or if it goes to 1030 first, whatever one happens first. That's pretty much what I'll be looking for. But again, risking more than what the trade I'm really to put on, like, that don't make any sense. So I would, you know, probably end up having to do like 90 something. But that's pretty much how I watch this and what I'm looking for. You know, unfortunately, we took this trade before, but the same scenario, the same ideas, but it just didn't happen to work out. That's fine. I'll trade tomorrow using the same things. But again, yeah, like this, like, I don't know where else I mean, put my stop loss down here. That doesn't make any sense because I'm going for 50 handles, so that don't make any sense, you know. But I do expect this to hold, and we should be targeting like up there. Like, that's where we should be targeting, you know. But I just want to show where 50 handles is. Trust me, I wanted to press the button, but I'm not going to. I'm only allowed to take one trade a day, and that was my one trade. So again, look where the bodies are closing in the upper portion of this fair value gap. On the 2-minute chart, I wonder what that looks like. So the 2-minute chart fair value gap is down here. So let's do this and then show the 1-minute chart. Down there. So on the, you know, this time frame, so our 50 handles would have been hit now. So that's a 1, 2, 3, 4-minute trade. That's all I would have, you know, would have needed and would have been looking for and would have been out at for that trade, but I did not press the button. That's fine. Tomorrow we look for the same thing. So it is almost 10:30, and I mean, I'm expecting us to draw up to what is this? The constant encroachment of the new week opening gap, current one. That's what I'd be expecting. That's what I'd be, you know, looking for. But unfortunately, we took a loss before, and you know, before we waited for this trade, even though we're looking for higher prices, just what I was seeing, that's what I thought that we were going to get. Now on the 2-minute chart again. So I just, you know, I want to take a picture of. See, that's fine. I want to take a picture of this. So I have this for my notes. But yeah, this is pretty much like what looking for, expecting. But yeah, it just, I would have had to shoot for a little bit more for it to be worth the trade, because a 50 handle take profit and then a 60 handle stop loss, that's not good risk to reward for me. That's not the type of trade setups that I look for. But again, yeah, I would be expecting this order block to hold and then go up higher. But now it's 10:31, so I'm gonna hop off. But again, this is where I think it's gonna go. Just got a little tripped up today, and that's fine. And I'll be out tomorrow. And yeah, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And if you're trading, I hope you're staying safe and remaining to your rules. And I will see you guys tomorrow. Peace.